Hello everyone. Welcome to Meshery Build and Release call. This call takes place every other week. That is the second and fourth Thursdays, 12 a.m. Central Time, or depending on what your time zone is. If you're subscribed to the calendar, then you would be getting notifications for this call anyways. And we start with introductions whenever there are new folks on the call. And I think I see two new people over here. So actually three. So let's start with Gopi. Gopi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello everyone. This is Gopi Vaibhav. I'm from India. I'm currently a junior at like
Go, sorry to interrupt, man. Your microphone sounds like it's about 3 miles away from your mouth,
oh
or rather, we just can't hear you.
yeah. Is it good now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Hello everyone. This is Gopi Vaibhav from India. I'm a junior student at IIIT Lucknow. I'm a CS undergraduate student here. Uh, I'm actually new to this LFI community, and I'm willing to move forward with contributing to this organizations. And I'm actually I was here, like I got to know about this LFI from LFX mentorship program, and I'm interested for that. Thank you.
Nice to have you here, Gopi. I think this is your first CI call, but you have been in other calls because you already have something assigned to you. So
Yeah.
uh, that's pretty neat. I think the next one is Siddhi. Siddhi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello everyone. I'm from India. I pursued my degree from electronics and telecommunication, and I'm currently new to this project, and I'm trying to contribute in it.
Okay, so would you like to tell us about you're trying to contribute in documentation, the front end, back end, CI. So there are a lot of places to contribute to. So what are your primary interests?
Backend.
Okay, so like, have do you have an experience with Golang?
Not much.
Okay, okay. You might have, okay, so as you're getting started with the project, as you understand the project, there is actually an item today, and you might take that item up. It's pretty like it's straightforward propagative change. I'll talk about it when we come to it, but yeah, you might have something on your plate in today's call only. So nice to have you here, Siddhi. Okay, so Dell, you're also new in the call. If you do not have your microphone, you can always introduce yourself in the chat. And it's always nice to have the last name as well. Uh, okay. Uh, let's start with the agenda items now. Okay. So the first item is from me. It's about adding a workflow, and uh, I'll quickly talk about it. There's not much to talk about here, but we have Meshery extensions because Meshery is an extensible platform. So we have UI based as well as Golang based extensions that we use. And the problem with Golang based extensions is that if one version of a package in the extensions is different than the one in the main binary, then we land in errors. So to get around that thing, there's a workflow being added, which makes sure that I guess it's, uh, which makes sure that the Go mod of Meshery and the Meshery extensions is always in sync. I guess that is just merged. Yeah, I guess that because yeah, it's merged now. So just to give it a quick overview, what it does, it basically it triggers only when the Go mod changes in the master branch of Meshery/Meshery, and whenever that change takes place, it checks out the Meshery extensions repo, which is a private repo, and it performs certain action, which action is basically to make sure that the Go mod are in sync. In this way, the edge, that is the master of both Meshery extensions and Meshery at all times will be in sync. So that's a desired state we want to have. So any questions regarding this? Okay. So moving on, the next item is from Gopi. So Gopi, would you like to share your screen, talk about it?
Yeah, okay, just a minute. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So, like my task today was for regarding the GitHub action to tweet when someone adds issue slash tweet label for an issue, then automatically a GitHub action should be provoked and it should be tweeted in Meshery Twitter account. So I have tried this using just a minute. Yeah, so I just worked out on this and then successfully got the pause to response. Like I added the issue slash tweet label for an issue, and then I got the response from the GitHub Actions bot regarding this. And like I didn't integrate this with the Twitter thing because I don't have credentials, and I just left it out. But I can try that out as well.
Okay. So apart from the credential stuff, everything in your action is completed.
Almost done. And this is the demo as well. Like after I'm adding a label here, I can see GitHub Actions bot coming and replying to this issue.
Okay.
Cool. In your tests, have you gotten a chance to maybe just from a test account or something, send out a tweet, or have you yet to be able to get to that portion of the workflow?
Sorry, can you please repeat it again?
Yeah, have you been able to send out any test tweets from some other account?
Um,
No?
Actually,
Okay.
no, like I've just seen this implementation thing here. So I guess I might work on this regarding this, which you mentioned in the issue.
Nice. Okay, yeah, that's the meat. That's the meat of the thing. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so I've gone through this and I might try this and will let you know by tomorrow or
Cool.
by
When you do look,
tonight.
oh, nice. When you
Oh,
do look into it, if you don't mind,
mhm.
it'd be nice to know if, well, that probably doesn't matter as much, but there'd be a couple of things that would be nice to understand and potentially, well, gosh, this is adding on a couple of features or requirements. So the things that I'm about to say aren't requirements. They're just nice to know. And maybe if we're successful initially here, then maybe we would add on a little more functionality. And so right now, your goal, and
Okay.
just for context, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I'll work on this.
Okay. So actually, I didn't say anything yet, but so that's great. Good. There's something else to do. One is to see if it will accept an image. Like if you could give it a URL to an image or upload an image with it, and that actually changes the flow. So
Oh,
CD,
okay.
so I'll explain that, what I mean. So CD, who's here as well. CD, have you also created a PR for this particular workflow, maybe on a different org?
Mm, I didn't do any PR related to this.
Yeah, so I must be pronouncing her name wrong. But so CD,
Yeah.
Acha, oh, Siddhi. Okay.
CD, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, did you do a PR as well?
yes.
Nice. And which org is your PR going up against?
The
Like,
same.
oh, okay. So, okay. There are, for context for everyone, and I think maybe to help level set and comprehend what we're trying to achieve, is that, so good, Gopi is still on audio, is that we end up opening up a bunch of different issues over time across the different GitHub organizations that the Layer 5 community stewards. CD, were you on the newcomers call today?
Yes,
Yeah, nice. So you're probably already familiar with the fact that this community ends up like working across, it's about 70 repos, I think. And that, yeah, I'll drop this link into the chat right now. But that, yeah, this is a great page to go look to see what those repos are and the fact that they're spread out across different GitHub organizations. And so anyway, any number of issues and pull requests and things get opened for all of these. And sometimes we're in need of letting people know beyond just opening up an issue. We want to go tell the rest of the world or tell the Twitter sphere that there's an issue to come and take a look at it, where that there's help wanted. And the initial goal of this automation, I think you both are familiar with, but is to allow ideally a maintainer to add a label to an issue that will then tweet out a link to the issue from an appropriate account. So this community has three different Twitter accounts. So one for Meshery, one for Service Mesh Performance, and then one for Layer 5. And so there are also different GitHub organizations. So one for Layer 5, one for Meshery, one for Service Mesh Performance. So ideally, we would have three different workflows, basically all of them the same, but just three different copies of those workflows that are referenced. Well, actually, they would need to be referenced in every single repo, of which I said there's about 70. So there need to be about 70 copies of this workflow that you guys are working on. Three different types, meaning three different locations from which to tweet, because there's those three different Twitter accounts. So ideally, the flow here is that the workflow or the tweet is driven from the fact that there's a label added. And what's included in the tweet? Well, nothing other than just a link to the GitHub issue and maybe the title of the issue. And that's about it. What will happen then is Twitter will unfurl, if you will, or it will offer a preview of that link to the GitHub issue. And which will have like, well, you've probably seen those preview cards. If you haven't, then by the time you guys are done, you'll know what they look like. Yeah, so that's an intro to what we're trying to achieve right now. And all I was saying was Gopi and CD, as you're looking at this, and if we're successful, there's potential to expand the use of this. There's some potential to expand the use, and I won't describe that until you guys are done. And so good. So Gopi, thanks for demoing speaking to part of your progress. So you've got a workflow that will add a comment on an issue. Great. Yeah. And it does that based on the fact you've labeled the issue. Great.
Yeah. Okay.
So CD, do you want to like go into your work, your PR, and sort of speak to where you're at? Ideally, the two workflows end up being the same. So in this way, you guys get to collaborate.
I haven't added API keys and secret tokens.
Yeah, wait, say it again. Did you say that you do have an open PR or no?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, is it worth reviewing?
Can you pardon, please?
Yeah, do you have an open pull request?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to bring it up and you could share it so we can offer some feedback and help you move along?
Okay.
Okay.
So you're sharing it right now, right?
Wait.
Okay.
Is it visible?
Yeah.
I have to add secret here. But I don't have an access of Twitter account of Meshery.
Actually, that secret, we would be adding that secret in Meshery repo. Adding it here.
So I don't have to add, or
Yeah, you do
guys.
not have to add.
You can just test the count. You can just create the same secrets that you're calling for inside of the workflow. You can create those here in this fork, and then you can do your own tests from some other account, whatever account you want to use. And then that way you can test out your workflow before you submit it. Do you have a workflow written thus far? So if you have an open PR, can you bring up that pull request?
No, I haven't done. And I don't have developer Twitter account also. I have to log in.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to send it. Yeah. I mean,
Okay. One thing I could suggest to you as well as Gopi, whoever wants to test these things. So what you can do is you can generate these secrets for your account or some other test Twitter account, and inside of your own GitHub repo, inside of your own GitHub org, because I think there are org level secrets as well as there are repo level secrets, and then you can merge that PR on your own master, on your own, basically on your not on upstream but on origin, which is your fork. So after merging that, that fork flow would be triggered and something will happen, and if that's successful, we can merge that on the upstream, and then you might say that my upstream would be basically your upstream would be not in sync with the your origin would not be in sync with the upstream. So in that case, you can just basically go back a commit. That's no biggie. So yeah, you can basically, what I'm saying is you can test against your own master. You can merge that PR on your own master branch, and you can add your own secrets and with whatever test account you want to test against. And if it works, then yeah, then you're good to go.
Yeah, thank you. I got this.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'll share my screen. Just give me a sec. So, okay, so the next item is externalizing mesh model configuration. That's a mouthful. Before I think I should give a little bit of context on what this particular thing is, because some of you might want to work on this, or maybe so. Before I talk about what the change exactly here is, let me give a little bit of context. One thing I would like to say is that mostly what happens is that whenever there are few changes that are colloquially referred to as propagating changes here. What I mean by that is Meshery has a bunch of, if you go to the org, you'll find that it has a bunch of adapters. So Meshery Kuma, Meshery Linkerd, Meshery Istio, Meshery Traffic Mesh. For each of the service mesh that you have, we have an adapter for it. There are a few changes which are adapter specific. These are bug fixes. These are some security patches. These are something like some feature addition, which is specific to an adapter. But almost 70% of the times, what happens is that something is added in one adapter, and that change needs to be then propagated across all the other adapters as well. And that's a propagating change. So that's why I refer to the PR that I'm referring to. This is a propagating change. Usually we start from Istio. So a change is made in Istio, then a bunch of other contributors, because it's hard for one maintainer to go, and there are like 8 or 9 adapters. So to make same change in 8 or 9 adapters, you can lose track. So we divvy the things up. So some can handle, you handle the rest 4, you handle the rest 3. That's kind of the way. So, and the people who are come to contribute to anything Golang related, either they hop on to Meshy CTL, or the other thing to hop onto is this basically take up one of these propagating changes. So once I have established that this is a propagating change, what the change is, so basically inside of build/config.go, I will not explain too much, otherwise it will take me half an hour just to explain what mesh models are and what all of this thing is. But just in the context of this PR, what I'm over here doing, there's a map string interface, which is a Golang data type. And we were storing a bunch of things like primary color, secondary color, shape, logo, URL, SVG URL. Inside of build directory, there is a config.go file which contains the configuration in the form of constants or sometimes variables, which are then used inside of the main.go file whenever the Meshery adapter starts. So all the configuration is sourced from here, and this configuration is related to what you may ask. This configuration is related to the thing that I would refer to as components. Okay, so whenever you hear the word components, I'm referring to mesh model components, and what that actually means is it's a unit of deployment. And it's a, like, if I go into the playground right now, we have a playground deployed. If you want to test things out, just to show you what a component means when I use the word, so that this primary color, secondary color shape makes a little more sense. So if I meanwhile this is happening, I'll just one more thing. Okay, so this is mesh map, and you have limited access if you open it in playground. So here you can see this word components, and you can see over here that we have application and we have each of these Kubernetes components. And you might notice these things have a logo, right? So they have a logo, they have a primary color, they have a secondary color, and these components are sourced in Meshery server's database when Meshery server starts. And there are a bunch of ways that any adapter, so the architecture is like Meshery adapters are separate and Meshery is separate, and they communicate via gRPC. So Meshery adapters usually communicate to Meshery server via gRPC, but there is another way of communication, which is when Meshery adapters start, they register their components with Meshery server, telling the Meshery server that, hey, I'm up and these are the components I can handle. So here you cannot see any of Istio traffic mesh things, only the core thing, which is it exists in Meshery server, and the Kubernetes things. So when you start your Kubernetes server, if you just do kubectl space API hyphen resources, you will get all these resources. So these are sourced from Kubernetes. And since in playground environment we don't have the adapter, so nobody told Meshery that, hey, there are these other components as well. If we had the and we are planning to have the adapter running in the playground environment as well, so that people can even configure the Istio components. So if you have the adapter running, these components are registered, and so that's the registration part. But when the new components are generated, we need to assign things like the primary color, secondary color, shape. Like you can see some of things here are not circle. For example, let's say it has a cylindrical shape. So these shapes for all the Kubernetes things, these are defined in Meshery server. For the adapters thing, so for example, for Linkerd adapter, so you would see a sub option over here named Linkerd, and when you click on this, you will again see these icons. So the properties of those icons, like primary color, secondary color, shape, logo, URL, and the SVG color, these are sourced from this particular variable. But it becomes hard for someone to come back here and to reconfigure, or basically, if you want to change primary colors, let's say, then we can't. It's like it's there inside of a map string interface. So we have to communicate in terms of Golang. So which shouldn't be the case. So what I've done over here is just basically taken this particular map string interface and taken this out in a JSON file. So the same exact data, but outside and inside of a JSON file. So what happens now at the startup is I go over and I unmarshal that particular JSON file into a map string interface, and the rest of the flow is exactly the same. It's just there's an extra step that instead of having this map string interface variable, we have put it outside, and it becomes easy for contributors like who are contributing to UI. We can just point them to, hey, there is a mesh model metadata.json inside of build directory. Just go and change the primary color over here, and it would be reflected over in the UI of mesh map, or even in this design configurator, which I cannot access because this is a mesh map playground. Okay, so this is the pull request, and these are the changes, and these exact changes would need to be propagated across the other adapters as well. There now, this mesh model change that you're seeing right now, there are a few adapters where these mesh model changes have landed. Like in Istio, it had landed, in Linkerd, it had landed. There are a few adapters where if you go inside of build directory, inside of config.go, you won't be seeing something like, if you don't see a variable, something like mesh model data, and you don't see all these things, probably if you click on pull request on that particular repo, you will see that there is a pull request opened by, there's a contributor, Ruturaj. And he used to help me with these propagating changes. So the mesh model change was a propagating change, and he was helping through this. And there are some merge conflicts due to which the PRs haven't landed yet, but the crux of the matter is that they will land eventually. And when they will land, you basically, we would need people to basically take this JSON out into a JSON format, take the map string interface out in a JSON format, and basically do exactly what this PR is doing. So if you go into any other, like if I literally if I go in, let's say Istio, you would see the exact same uh, directory structure. You would see exactly same. So if I now this is Istio directory, this is build, and inside of config.go, you would see here is the mesh model metadata. So maybe Siddhi, maybe you can take this up where you can basically refer to this particular PR which I was showing earlier about in Linkerd, and make the same exact change over here. Take these key value pairs out in a JSON and then unmarshal them inside of the init routine over here, exactly the same way it has been done in. And while doing so, you might explore this particular code of any of the adapters, and uh, basically it might help you to understand the code a little better. If you have any questions, you can of course come back and ask what this means or what that means, and I'd be glad to help. So do you want to put a name on it? Do you want to take this up for, let's say, the adapter, if your PR is approved, or Gopi, you want some?
Yeah, I'm interested to work on this.
Okay, so there are plenty of adapters, so maybe
This thing, ISTO, I'm not sure
okay,
about the name, but this seems okay.
okay. I'll thank you for volunteering for it. I'm just going to put your name on it over
Yeah.
here.
Like, is there any issue for which I have to comment regarding the assignment,
I
or
don't
should I
think that
directly make a PR?
you should just go ahead and make a
Yeah.
PR and skip the extra step.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so if this PR gets landed and if you get this right, basically you can do exact same thing for other adapters as well. It would be nice for you to tag someone like Siddhi. She can maybe review the PR and um, maybe take this up in some other adapter, so you have your work split up, because the change has landed only in Linkerd, and even there it hasn't technically landed. It will be landed, but the rest is like 6. So you'll have to go with the all 6 adapters and make the same change, or you can take 3, someone else can take 3, or maybe I shouldn't be that lazy, maybe I should take some. So let's see how it goes. Thanks for taking this one up. Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is help for CI spreadsheet. So what this item is all about is we have a Meshery test plan. This is a spreadsheet which tracks a bunch of things, and these bunch of things include it includes this particular CSV file that you're seeing over here. It tracks basically what are the components under test that we have, and what's exactly that we're trying to test, and what's the test scenario. So because you have things like Meshery which is the command line tool for Meshery, and then you have something like adapters that I talked about. We have 8 adapters over there, and then there is Meshery server. So there are a bunch of components lying around, and then there's of course UI, and then there is Meshery extensions. So it's hard to track all these components. So this particular spreadsheet basically puts a component under test, and it tries to define what particular test scenario it's trying to test. And usually most contributors take these up and mark it like, I have tested this thing. So for example, like this is an action to test this particular scenario. So if you're not successful, you can come and mark it red, or inform people in the Slack channel that, hey, this particular scenario is not working. Basically this component under test is failing. And the way this is one of the ways. And usually what we try to do is we try to automate, of course, almost everything. So for those, have an automated we have a bunch of automated tests, again spread across all the repos, so it's hard to track all of these. But this is a spreadsheet where we're trying to track the repo and what workflows there are, what basically what's the trigger, and what's the prerequisite, what's the area under test, what it is exactly testing, and so on and so forth. So like you can see over here that because most of the adapters are so similar, I have put them all in just one row. So all adapters have to be uniform. Like if you see that one adapter has some discrepancy with another adapter, like there is something in the istio adapter and then there is something and that thing is absent in the Linkerd adapter. There has to be a justification for it. If there is no justification, in most cases, we need complete uniformity for there. So that's why in terms of test, everything that like the same way, be the same mechanism that we would use to test the Istio adapter, the same as traffic mesh, same as Linkerd. The only thing that would vary is that in Istio adapter, we would be like in end-to-end test, we would be trying to deploy the Istio service mesh, and traffic mesh adapter would be trying to deploy traffic mesh. So you get the gist of it. And I have so for adapters, I have noted the all the major workflows that we use, and I have one other like task here for someone who's interested in GitHub workflow. And Gopi's already charged up with so many things, so I don't know whether he would be take this one. He'd be able to take this one on or not, but let's see. Before I talk about the other stuff, I think because Mario is not here, Abhishek, would you like to talk about the rest of the things like documenting the workflows related to UI? So you can take the UI part. What like so we want to track the percentage of test cases covered, and we want to basically document, as I said, what do they cover and what do they not cover. So would you like to talk about from the UI perspective? Then I can come back in the adapters perspective.
I have one doubt.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many adapters does it have?
Like if you this is if you go to the GitHub org, you'll find basically anything Meshery and then hyphen whatever. If you find a service mesh name over here, it's a adapter. So I mean, let's count together: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and of course there's another page. I guess there are 8 because few were deprecated. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Actually, now it's not 12. For example, Tanzu is deprecated, and NSM is deprecated, and CPX is deprecated. So 12 minus 3, 9. We come back to 9. Okay, we have 9. So up until AppMesh, Cilium, OSM, all of these are, and also Octarine is deprecated. So we have 8, yes. So there are few of the adapters for which we have dropped support, and we no longer basically, yeah, we have dropped support for that. So mostly there is an order of importance, you can say. So mostly the order of importance goes like Istio, console, traffic mesh, Linkerd. Actually, you know what, I should put them in a hierarchy so that no one comes and no one can pin me on that I told that this service mesh is better than the other. So yeah, that's not a hierarchy, but usually it's like Istio, Linkerd, console, Kuma, and then Cilium and rest of the other service meshes. So yeah, there are 8 almost over here.
Thank you.
Welcome. Avi, would you like to talk about the?
Yeah, let me share my screen. Okay, so hoping the Chrome is visible. These are the tests that we have, and there are 2 types of tests, like majorly the integration test, which are more like functional test, and the E2E test, which is actual end-to-end tests. So integration tests cover different aspects of the UI and some common aspects also that is already covered in E2E. So these are the, I mean, different files, test files, where different configurations and end-to-end behaviors are being tested. So there has been some error in the current E2E test, and we'll be coming on to that in one of the next agenda item. Anyways, moving to this, like if you see here, the file name itself suggests what they are testing. So user preferences, settings, spec, life cycle, and service mesh configuration management, which is kind of empty right now, but majorly like these 3 files are being tested, is being tested here. And I mean, the uh, where is the doc? Like this is the doc,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. You can click on automated tests below over here on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. Here, like on the Meshery repo, yeah, here you can maybe on Meshery UI test or some place.
Yeah, create a new row here,
Yeah,
and then
yeah. Yeah, and kind of explain the triggers and like the file names that you told over there, like a kind of a brief over here that you know it tests what particular thing, what particular components, what particular workflow tests.
Okay, okay. Okay. Meanwhile, right now, like there are no entry for UI right now. So
Yeah,
I'll be seeing to like I mean, what's the pattern written here, like, and we'll be adding for the spec, or I mean the desired things for the UI. So okay. Or if Mario would like catch it faster than me, then yeah, he might just do the same.
yeah. So yeah, the rest of the things. So yeah, there are a few rows that are needed to be added here, like Abhi said about the UI, and then about adapters. There are a few tests that were added, but they're subsequent. So uh, this particular spreadsheet should be as close to reality as possible. So if I go over to the workflows directory over here on in .github, we have a bunch of workflows. So this should be like exactly what you see over here, and so one particular test that I would like to talk about is the component generation test. And I guess 10 minutes ago I talked, or maybe 15 minutes. I don't have the track of time, but I guess 15 minutes ago I talked about a workflow. The primary color, if you're having a deja vu, the primary secondary color thing, that thing that I talked about, a workflow's job is to do that, and that is a component generator workflow. This workflow starts and it just runs that particular Go code, which is supposed to do all that magic. And then you have another another workflow actually, and it's poorly named. I would say it's component to documents. It's kind of a poor naming about what this actually does. And so basically, if you will go inside of Meshery documentation, inside of integration somewhere around here, I guess, give me a second. It's okay. So there were components over here. Let me. Okay, I'll paste a link to this in Slack channel. So basically, what this particular workflow does is the components that I showed you in the playground, it extracts a list. Let me go to the particular. So this is the workflow, okay, and what it does is that I'll go and show you what the components are. So here we have two directories. One is a mesh model directory and one is home. Another major statement that I would like to make is don't like what this OM and what this mesh model is. Components, I told you it's a unit of deployment, and previously we were using open application, something closer to open application model. You can check that thing out. Kubevela has one of its implementations. We had its one implementation earlier than actually Kubevela. And so what, I won't go into detail about what open application model is because we have deprecated that. And OM used to provide us a specification based on which our internal system was designed. And then we moved on and we created our own specification, whose name is mesh model. So the components means just that the way that is represented is different. The JSON file, which was under OM, and the JSON file which is now under mesh model, they have a different structure. That's it. The specification is different. So if you go, let's say in one of these directories, these are versioned. So for each of the Istio version, so because I'm in Istio Raptor, so for each of the Istio version, if you click on any of these particular components are generated. So these are custom Istio resources. So Istio has authorization policy, destination rule, on filter, gateway, and few things that we actually offer. So for example, Istio mesh is one resource, and Istio adapter doesn't, I mean, Istio service mesh doesn't have any custom resource known as Istio mesh. But like if you want to deploy the service mesh in the first place, either you'll have to use Istio CTL or some other, you'll have to use a Helm chart or whatever. But if you use Meshery, then we have a layer of abstraction. We use the same mechanism through which we allow you to deploy any Istio resource. We allow you to deploy Istio itself. So we also allow you to deploy Jaeger Istio add-on the same way. So Istio also doesn't have a custom resource for that. So this list of components is basically an amalgamation of what the service mesh offers and what we offer on top of the service mesh. And if you go into one of these JSON files, it would be, yeah, really ugly because, you know, it's not structured. But if you were to see it raw, you would see how the spec looks like. And the job of the workflow that I just showed you, that job was simple, that for each of the versions, it takes the list of all these components and it publishes on the docs. So we can say that, hey, if you're looking to try Istio, and let's say for version 1.13, you want to deploy things like service entry, reverse authentication, you want to have some authorization policy in your namespace, you want to do all that, well, you can use Meshery because, well, Meshery supports, this is a list of components that we support. And we were using the workflow that I showed you. But there is this one catch, if you caught it in that particular workflow. If I go back in this workflow, it was doing this thing for the OM components. So in the structure looks like this, that inside of OM, you have a workloads directory, and inside of workloads, the structure is exactly that way. But in the new mesh model, you have structure goes like templates and then mesh model and then components. So previously it was templates, OM workloads. Now it is templates, mesh model components. So this workflow would need to be changed to not publish from the workloads directory, because that would be deprecated soon and deleted from all the adapters, but rather do the same exact job that it is doing, whatever this hacky bash script does, for not for this directory, but for the other directory, and make sure that the JSON lines up or whatever. Uh, I guess, I mean, who gets to work on this is another thing. But I guess, Gopi, can you open an issue for this thing in the Istio? Because I just, like 15 minutes ago, it caught my eye that there is a discrepancy. You can name the issue like uh, change component to document this particular, basically change this workflow to account for mesh models and drop home. That kind of a description would work.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
And also, like, I have to add this issue in this adapter only, right?
yeah, Meshery is the adapter.
Okay.
This is an adapter specific thing.
Okay.
Okay. So let's move on to the next item, which is Swagger docs for Meshery APIs. I guess I can push this below. Yeah. So
One question is that what you described, is that the only discrepancy in the workflows? What is it? So the item is to document the workflows, what they cover and when they run. So besides that, can we say everything's updated, or is there anything else? Like we have an item in the release meeting notes about this part. It's point 2.
yeah, this was about, I don't know whether you like, because you joined a little late, so I don't know whether you were there or not, but this was basically about this list only, that whatever workflows that we have in each of the repositories, this particular spreadsheet should reflect basically that, so that
Yes.
people don't have to go into each of the basically repos and see what does what. You can just refer to the spreadsheet that, oh, there is a workflow named this, which gets triggered on this and performs this, and basically, you know, in this particular language. Makes
Okay.
so
then it's updated, except for that what you mentioned about the components.
The
or
components
is
thing
there
is
anything
completely
else
the
we need
components thing is completely different. This is a different discussion, and they do not do anything to the spreadsheet. This particular workflow actually just publishes things onto the docs, the particular section that I cannot seem to find out right now, but basically this thing, yeah, it's completely different. This test plan, the item that is in the item that you're seeing right now, it's about this particular updating this spreadsheet.
Exactly.
Basically,
Yeah.
So I guess the next item, Mario, would you like to talk about this particular issue, or like this particular pull request actually?
Oh, sure. Yes. Well, not much to talk yet, but I shared some thoughts in the notes and also in the issue about. I mean, I guess that the attempts made before by other contributors was to upgrade the Cypress version, and I was not in. I couldn't find like time to go into detail of why Cypress community or contributors. I mean, the Cypress tool as it is like why they were suggesting that. Not sure if it makes sense, but it looks like it's some configuration problem because it's just the endpoint returning a 500. So Cypress as like that, it manages, like it runs to test our app, right? But in the end-to-end test, it just somehow it reaches the our application, but that returns a 500. So it used to work. So my impression would be that there's something wrong with the configuration of the application while running in CI. There could be some change in how to call that request. That's all I could think of. But like, I guess that the two suggestions I have is either make it so that our CI can kind of like collect logs and output the application logs somewhere so we can look into what's happening. And or in parallel, something else we can do is just try to replicate it locally. And I can do that. Like I offer I could do that, try it. And I just plan to go over the workflow in detail, like all the steps that it does just to get the what is Minikube running, and then Meshery ran, because it's run, I believe, through some commands in Go. And probably if I remove, for example, my local Meshery config, that'll help just to try to replicate the same scenario that's happening in the CI runs. Like, would that make sense? Like, or I don't know. Like, just try to make it as a pristine environment as possible, because that's what happens in CI, and we might be doing something locally that's not the same way in this. So would that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. You can try it out. I mean, I can tell my observations that I have got. So
sure, please share.
Yeah. Okay, so first of all, there is a discussion. I mean, when we are using Cypress version, what was it? 9. So 9.7.xyz. So when we are using it, so I mean, the issue is same. The issue was same, that is right now while using version 12 also. But there was an message that is specifically saying that move to this GitHub issue and see like what's the suggestion and how you can solve this issue. So
you know what, one comment, I did see this messaging before, but I thought it was just some warning. I kind of like tend to ignore it because there was no apparent problem. So is there reason to believe this is related to the proxy error?
This is related to proxy error, maybe. I mean, as far as the this thing suggests, like the response suggests, like this may be the proxy error too.
So there's a certificate that's not there anymore for the proxy, and that's causing the failure, correct?
Maybe
it could be. Yeah, you're right. I did.
So that's why, like, first of all, like, yeah, that may be the thing. Like, we have to give it try one again. Anyways, the another thing that I was mentioning here is that we can bypass the proxy by changing the configuration. So let me go to the code. And earlier it was localhost 90. I mean, earlier it was localhost 3000, and it was there is a proxy setup for 3000 that automatically, sends a request to 9081, and once receives it back from 9081, it again redirects it to 3000. So that's how it was being done. So I have not pushed this change yet because I first of all, like, while I was on this call, so I made two changes. So first of all, we had we were using version v5 v4. So if you see, we were using version v4, and we don't have anything like metrics.node as any tag variable right now just yet. So I mean, set it as to some correct value that actually passes something like node version that we use. So that's one addition that I mean, that's the one thing that I added or modified. But for some reason, I think because I just changed the workflow files, it didn't rerun the UI end-to-end test so that I can check like these things actually solved or not solved the issue. But anyways, what I'll be doing next is I'll be doing this. I mean, changing the port from 908 3000 to 9081 so that there is no proxy server lying in between that may halt the request or close or do something else.
Uh,
But yeah, but our whole end-to-end test actually relies on this on the proxy itself. Like whatever you are running, you will be firing it from the localhost 3000, and it will be moving to 9081 and then getting from 9081 to again 3000. So I mean, what I can do is just check, modify this and check if everything works fine. So if I'm not getting the same exact error by after this change, if I'm not getting the exact error, so it's sure that there is definitely a proxy error that is there, and we might try to just shift our whole focus or our whole platform for Cypress integration from dev platform to prod platform, and we will be using 9081 instead of 3000, and we won't be building 3000 itself. So that's how we can do it. It's just like it's not confirmed yet that this is actually in proxy error, because it doesn't say it explicitly like why the request failed. It doesn't say like why it failed, because I mean just says like 3500 internal server error. So
mhm.
and body is unexpected issue. So that's why like we have to just do experimentations here and there.
Although this body, I'm not sure if you guys noticed, it's a hard-coded response, a part of the proxy. Like if you look into what is it? Maybe let me see if in the provider UI, in the UI dev server JS. So if you look for that same string, so what was it? Unexpected.
Unexpected issue.
Unexpected issue period.
Let me search.
So yeah, it's provider UI dev server JS.
Yeah, that's it is. So definitely it's proxy error then, right?
Yeah, it's even the 500 is set up there. Like the thing is, we should uncover why it's happening. I just thought that I'll just try looking into options. It could be some kind of change in a dependency for the specific, I don't know, the action we used to run Cypress even, but I don't know, doesn't make sense at all. But this is already in the proxy server configuration. What if we add a console to output this error? If you see that same line number 13, we're not doing anything with the error, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean the one that passing the callback.
Yeah.
So error, comma, rec. So can we output that to console? Would that? I guess that would help us to see at least where that's coming from.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe a
Yes.
console.log or yeah.
Yeah, if it's a server error, most probably it would be caught in here, I guess.
We just need to output like what's this error message, or actually I'm not sure if it would have a message but yeah, basically just try to output that. And I guess it's safe to add a log because it would only run for dev builds, right? So just output the error
Although
somewhere
I
over
won't
here.
get it right now because I don't have any proxy error. I don't get
No,
any
no, no.
error.
But if we add it and then we push it to a branch,
Yeah,
we'll see it in
we'll
action.
have
And
to wait for that, right?
well, yeah, the CI pipeline run, the CI workflow run. Sorry, we would be able to see like what the error is about. Maybe it's some port that's not available anymore. I don't know.
No, that's not the case. I mean, it successfully says this message, ready on localhost 3000. That means it
Aha.
created the server. It created the app
Okay.
also. But somewhere in between here,
Uh-huh.
there may be some
But
blocks because we
uh-huh.
updated some I mean,
Okay.
we updated some packages that is related to Next or create server or something else. I'm not sure. So
So it could be a Next.js dependency change that breaks the proxy itself. Do you think?
Most
Perhaps?
probably, but I don't think like
But
there
but, but
has been
basically,
just
an error
changes.
is being emitted, right? Because we're listening to the on error, so we're subscribing to any error that proxy sends, and we're running this, which is like returning the 500. So at least this is a good
Yeah,
starting point to see.
definitely.
Like just
Okay.
either return details of the error in the response or just output it in a console log, and that'll help us have a subsequent Cypress end-to-end test runs give more information of like why is this or why any error is being thrown during the proxy code.
Yeah, just
I
a
mean,
quick
that's my
time.
suggestion. Like, sorry.
Just a quick time check, Mario. So
Sure,
can
let's
you,
proceed.
yeah, can you like whatever was being discussed in the last 10 minutes, can you just add on to here so that we have a kind of a prologue
Sure.
to whatever we discussed. Thank you.
Yep.
So we have
Thanks.
2 minutes left, but I guess I can discuss Hamza's error. So Hamza, to save time, I'll just I'll share my screen. And so where are you stuck on this particular? So this particular, so again, I won't go into details because we have a very less time left. So what's the bug over here, Hamza? Why tests are failing, right? The ones for which you have added the.
Yeah, so right now that latest push is failing because of a rate limit. The GitHub action we use in getting the release tag is rate limited. But if it's not rate limited, the pattern apply fails with an error that says invalid trait of type linkerd mesh. Like it prints out deploy with sample app.yaml, and yeah, it says invalid trait of type linkerd mesh.
So that so linkerd mesh is definitely a type, and the reason, like a quick way to just confirm that linkerd like the linkerd mesh is a type is just if you go inside of templates and inside of ohms slash workloads, you'll find, and you can open any of these versions, and there is a linkerd mesh definition file over here. So if I go into the definition file, yeah, it is defined as linkerd mesh. So there must be some, so it means that the adapter was not able to register the components. So one quick check would be to check if the adapter is running. So if we check the whole status, uh, okay, the adapter is actually running. And this, so we had added the second iteration. The second iteration also fails, right? It says in the second, okay, actually it says invalid trait of type linkerd mesh. And okay, so which basically means that you're trying to apply something as a trait. Okay, I haven't looked into, why can't I open this? Is this a valid URL? Because most probably there's a problem with the pattern file itself, I think. So
I changed this one and pointed it to the current branch. Yep, this URL is invalid. I deleted that branch, I think.
okay, so I mean, if the URL is invalid, then there is one reason that it might be failing. And even if yeah, because this particular error that you're seeing over here, so I mean, I can't explain what this particular thing means. We allow, I won't go. We're almost out of time. So uh, for this invalid trait of type, can you make sure that the URL is correct? Once you have got the URL correct, at least I can click on that and I can see, because it's not, of course, the workload is there, but linkerd mesh is not a trait, and we are going to drop traits anyways. Traits would no longer be there. So, and trait basically means that you have a field known as traits, and inside of that you have given something like linkerd mesh. So yeah, there is a problem with the pattern file, but I can't open that, like I can't even open this one or this one. So can you make sure that these URLs are pointing to the correct thing?
Yeah, sure. They are in the latest commit that it is rate limited for now. That doesn't run.
Okay. Thanks for that. I guess Dipankar is not on the call. He had one issue to discuss, and I had one thing to discuss, but I get this is again going to take a bit of time. So let's push this for the next call, and yeah, so thanks everyone for joining today's call. This call happens every other week, so every second and fourth Thursday of the month. This was the last Thursday of the month. So this would be happening now next year. So yeah, so for people who have gotten things, roll up your sleeves, start working on those issues or PRs or whatever. And it would be nice to see in the next call that some of you who are grabbing all these issues have PRs to be reviewed. And well, Merry Christmas, I would say. See you all soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.